Okay, now we come to cautions, warnings, and disqualifications. Here's another change for referees to consider. So the first bullet says, a boxer who does not obey the instructions of the referee, acts against the rules of boxing, boxes in an unsportsmanlike manner, or commits fouls, will, at the discretion of the referee, be cautioned, warned, or disqualified. Here in this stage, at this point of the seminar, we're talking about some of the actions of the referee, okay? The referee is in the ring by himself. He's got to make decisions by himself. And just like I said a while ago, the microscope is on you. It's even more on a referee. And we're not like some of the other sports like soccer or baseball or football, where a foul happens, and what happens? All the officials come together, they discuss the rule, they make a decision. In the ring, the referee is by himself. And how much time does he have to make a decision? That much. Right or wrong, he's got to make a decision. So what does that mean for you as a referee? You've got to be an expert of the rules. If there's anybody in our program that should know the rules better, it's the referee. There should be no excuse for a referee not knowing the rules. In a minute, we're going to talk about the duties and the powers of the referees, okay? But for now, let me just mention that you must be an expert of the rules. That's why it's important to come to all these seminars and keep coming to the seminars. Keep getting critiqued. That's the way you learn. Every time you get out of the ring, get critiqued. Get somebody that's better than you critique you. And don't, if somebody keeps telling you, no, you're doing fine, you're doing great, that's not the right person to critique you. You want somebody to tell you what you did right, what you did wrong, what you need to work on. But you've got to keep improving. The moment that you stop improving, the moment you stop learning, is the moment that you should quit boxing, go to soccer, go to football, go to another sport. You've stopped learning, you can't learn anymore, we can't teach you. Rules change. Procedures change. Philosophies change. You've got to keep learning. Okay, so cautions, warnings, and disqualifications. Cautions. Remember that the referee can now talk to the boxers. Okay? That's very important, because before, all we could say was stop, box, and break. Now we got time. But now you can talk to the boxers also. I can use you two guys, come on up. So one of the things that we're asking referees, that when you're giving a caution, if you can get to the center. When you're giving a caution, it's not necessary to stop the bout, okay? So think of cautions in this way. There are soft cautions and there are hard cautions. The soft caution is one where I don't have to stop the bout. I'm not taking points off. I can simply point at this boxer and tell him that to keep his head up, okay? And I can say it both ways, by a hand signal and verbally, head up, head up. What I've got to do is I've got to make sure that I move in and I can get his visual perspective right here. I should not be doing it from way back here, and I see referees doing it all the time. From way back here. Nobody sees what you're doing. Neither boxer knows what you're doing. So unless you come here, head up. Now he sees that he's the one that created the infraction. In international boxing, we also tell the referees to mention either the corner or the name of the boxer. Sometimes it's hard to pronounce the name of some of these Russian boxers and so on, but if you can say the name of the boxer, it helps. But the main point is a soft caution, you're doing this, head up. The bout continues. Next round, he does it again, head up. A few seconds later, he does it again. Now comes a hard caution, stop, head up, box. You continue, does it again, another hard caution, stop, head up. He continues to do it. Now you stop. Now you say stop. You send this boxer to the neutral corner. Now you're going to give a warning to this boxer. So the first thing you do to this boxer is you point with your entire hand, not with your finger. Point with the entire hand. Motion what the infraction was, low blow. This to the supervisor. Box. So that is the proper procedure for cautions, whether you use a soft caution or a hard caution or a warning. Now, if you have to disqualify, the proper procedure for disqualification is you put both boxers in the neutral corners. So they're going to go to the neutral corner. Now you can come tell the supervisor, disqualification, winner, blue corner. Now you turn around and you can tell them to go to their respective corners. Now, why did I do that? Why didn't I just leave the boxers in the center of the ring? Exactly. One knows he's been breaking the rules. One knows he's getting some heat coming towards him. I give him my back, and now they're going to fight back there. So better to put them in the neutral corner. Go do your duty with the supervisor. Now you can put them in their respective corners, and you make the announcement. Okay? And the other thing on hand signals, referees, is make sure your hand signals are very clear. Make sure that you practice hand signals in front of a mirror so that they're very clear. So a slap, a low blow, a holding. Remember, holding is not, I've seen referees do this for holding. Well, that's not a holding sign. A boxer's going to say, I wasn't doing that. So it's either this, mimic whatever the hold was, this, whatever the hold was, mimic the infraction. The clearer that you can make that signal to the boxer, the better he's going to understand and stop causing that foul. Okay? The time when there's no clarity, he's going to continue and he's going to get frustrated. Question? Remember that now referees can touch boxers to physically separate. I was going to cover the holding later, but I can cover it now. Come back up here. You've got two boxers that are holding. And remember, there's a difference between infighting, clinching, and holding. Okay? So just pretend like you're infighting, but real close. So they're real close, they're infighting. There's no lock of arms. Nobody is preventing anybody from throwing punches. They're just infighting. I'm going to let them continue. Sometimes you'll see a momentary clinch. So they'll come together, they're holding, but it's for a split second. You'll see them both separate quickly. There's no foul committed there. Now come back together. Now you see the clinch again, and you'll see one boxer make an effort to break and the other one doesn't. Now you know that you've got to say stop. Now you got to point at him and motion that he's that he's holding. Okay? So make sure that you do that. The other thing is when they're holding, let's say you're holding, you're wrapping with just one hand, just right there. No, right here. Yeah, right there. So I see this. He's holding to the back. I can do this. And watch professional referees. You see them, I mean, they're really good at knocking the hand down. What we don't want to see is you see some referees come and grab the entire arm and they're yanking it down. You don't want to do that. It's okay to knock hands off. That's okay. The other thing about breaking is be very careful, because if you don't say stop, if you don't say break, if you don't say something before you come in and you just come in, what can happen to the referee? Pow. You're going to get hit. So I'm going to say, go ahead and hold again. So I'm going to say break. I may even tap and I'll do this to break them. Okay? But watch referees, because they're very professional referees, because they're real good at that. Question? Is there a difference between breaking male boxers and female boxers? Yes. You got to be careful in touching females, because sometimes with males you can push across this way. And the one thing you don't want to do, when you push males, you can push them to the extent of your arms. What you don't want to do is push them further, shoving them. You don't want to do that either. But with females, you just want to say break and just do this. Okay? Remember, on holding, there are two different type holdings. One hold is the boxer holds because he's intimidated, he's off balance, he's fatigued. There was no advantage. The second hold, that's still a foul. The second holding is I see my opponent coming in to make an attack, so I grab him and then I punch. I neutralize his attack. That is a tactic. That is a strategy. That is a greater foul than the first example that I gave. So you've got to stop this one quicker than you do this one. The perfect example was 2000 Olympics, Rocky Juarez. In the final bout, he was fighting a Russian. And every time Rocky would come in to make an attack, his opponent would grab him, and then he'd let him go. And Rocky would start again to make his attack. He would grab him, and he'd let him go. Rocky lost the bout, but it wasn't his fault. That was a referee. He didn't take control. He let one boxer take an advantage of his opponent. So remember, there's two different type holdings, okay? Let me get back to this. In the event that any irregularity is found in the bandages after the bout that, in the referee's opinion, gave an advantage to the boxer, this boxer must be disqualified immediately. I think we talked about this earlier. The boxer will be disqualified after the third warning. And remember, they don't have to be for the same warning. One warning could be for slapping, one for holding, one for low blow. Different warnings. 3 is 3, okay? After the third one, disqualification. The referee, however, can disqualify a boxer at any time for as I mentioned, a flagrant foul. And we'll give examples of what exactly that means. The supervisor or RJ evaluators have the right to caution, remove, and disqualify a coach who has infringed the rules. One thing I forgot to mention on cautions. Remember that cautions, that rule also changed. It used to be that 2 cautions, and then the third time was an automatic warning. That is out. Now we give the flexibility to the referee, the discretion to the referee to do his job and allow more than 1 caution, more than 2 cautions, more than 3 cautions. If it is a minor foul, again, I'm going to break it up, minor, major, flagrant. If they are minor fouls, you can give 4 cautions for the same infraction and not give a warning. Case in point, 2012 Olympic Games in London. Matter of fact, we benefited, USA Boxing. What's his name, the boxer from Dallas? Errol Spence. His opponent, the referee cautioned him 3 times, did not give the warning. Errol lost by a point. Had the warning been given, he would have won the bout. USA Boxing lodges a protest, formally puts down what rule was violated, the fact that more than 3 cautions were given, no warning was given, therefore our boxer should have won. The grievance committee saw it, they looked at it, they reviewed the video, they said they are correct. They put the warning down, it overturned the decision. We benefited. So now we've taken that away. There is no more counters in the audience where all they're doing is counting cautions. Look, the referee gave another caution. Look, he gave this caution. Did you mark it down? There's no more of that. We're giving the discretion to the referee, but remember who we've got at ringside in the field of play. We've got a referee evaluator that is also watching the work of the referee. He is grading every referee, every bout that they do. And one of the items on there was a caution, was a warning necessary but not given. And they deduct points for that. The referee's grade is very important because the ones that rank at the bottom don't get the work in the semifinals and finals. So for them it's very important that they're refereeing correctly, that they get the critiques and they change whatever mistakes they're making. Okay? Compulsory counts. This also changed. I think Bo covered this also. For elite men, after a maximum of 3 8 counts in 1 round, the bout will be stopped. No limit of the amount of 8 counts in a bout without exceeding 3 in a round. Again, the referee evaluator is evaluating the work of the referee. If in his opinion, starting the 3rd round, this referee has already given 4 8 counts and he hasn't stopped the bout, could that be a matter of safety? Might be. If in the eyes of the evaluator, he feels that, man, that bout should have been stopped. That is a big point deduction on the evaluation sheet for a referee. Again, that grade counts heavily. Technically, he was correct. He could have given 2 8 counts in the first, 2 in the second, third round, 3, the bout's over. Okay? For women, youth, and juniors, that's still the same. 3 in 1 round, 4 in a bout, the bout's over. Okay, now we come to fouls. There are difference in fouls, and one of the things that we tell referees when they get into the ring is don't get too eager to give cautions and warnings. Just wait a little while, let the bout start, give yourself 30 seconds, let the boxers warm up, let's see what they're going to do. Start looking at your movements, start looking at the ring and so on, but don't start off by giving warning after warning after warning. So, minor fouls. What do I mean by minor fouls? Minor foul could be minor pushing, minor holding. My head is low, but it's away from my opponent. So the head violation occurs when my head goes beyond my lead foot. If it's here, this is in violation. Okay? That is considered a major foul, one of these. It is a minor foul even if my head is beyond my lead foot, but my opponent is way back there. That's okay. There's no danger. Or if my hands are up here, there's no danger here. As soon as my hands go down and I'm here, that is a violation. So low head but no danger, not a problem. A low blow that is kind of a grazing blow, that's a minor foul. The thing that you have to remember with fouls is no harm, no foul for minor fouls. Remember, one of the things we want to do is we want to let the boxers box. We don't want to be stopping the bouts for every single little thing. As referees, we could probably disqualify half of the boxers in the tournament in the first or second round if we wanted to. But the point is we've got to let them box. So categorize your fouls into minor, major, flagrant, and it'll keep you safe in the ring. So I gave you an example of minors. The majors are these: hitting below the belt, low blow, holding, tripping, kicking, butting with foot or knee, hits or blows with head, shoulder, forearm, elbow, hitting with open glove, slapping. And remember, anytime the punch connects with that, this is a slap, okay? So sometimes you see a boxer just coming in and he's just wailing away, pow, 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 pow. And the crowd's going crazy, and you've got TV commentators, I won't mention name, are going crazy and saying, red corner's killing him. And the coach is saying, you're winning the bout. But those punches are coming in this way. This is not bending. If this doesn't bend, it can't be a legal blow. What was the first criteria of a legal blow? It must connect with the knuckle surface. Can I connect with the knuckle surface without bending this? Can I do this? I'm going to break my wrist or sprain it. I've got to bend this for it to have a knuckle surface punch. Okay? So just because the crowd's going crazy, you as judges can't count those punches. His hits landing on the back of the opponent, especially any blow in the back of the neck or head and kidney punch, holding and hitting or pulling and hitting. Remember, holding is holding. So he can be holding this way, or he can be holding this way, or he can be holding. Those are 3 different infractions. Okay? I mean, they're the same infraction rather. They're still holding. Pivot blows, backhanded, turning my back to my opponent. Attack while holding the ropes or making any unfair use of the ropes. Lying on, wrestling, and throwing in the clinch. An attack on an opponent who is down. See that one, if it's intentional, that is a flagrant foul. Holding or locking on the opponent's arms or head, or pushing an arm underneath the arm of the opponent, as we demonstrated with the 2 boxers. Ducking below the belt of the opponent, and it's close to the opponent, that's dangerous. Spitting out the gum shield. Okay, one of the things about the gum shield, I'm not sure if this is covered in another slide or not. It is, okay, so I'll wait on the mouthpiece in just a second. Keeping the advanced hand straight, so I'm spearing, can't do that. Biting an opponent, that's a flagrant foul. There's no accidental biting, that's intentional. Completely passive defense. You know, this doesn't happen as much as in the old days when the corners used to get the scores. When they used to get the scores and red corner knew that they were winning, they would either do one of two things, passive defense or run. Now, because they don't know the score, they're not supposed to know the score, they keep fighting to the very end. Speaking, there is no speaking. It's okay to make grunting noises. They've taken that out of the foul section. But speaking, I'm talking to my opponent, I'm telling him, come on, and I'm saying names to him or cursing. That's not to be tolerated. Not stepping back in order to break. And remember, the correct break is, I say break, the boxers take a full step back. Not like the Russians used to do. They would take one step back and come back with a punch. No, you've got to take a full step back. Okay? Faking, this is a new foul. Faking or simulating an injury. A low blow, for example. Simulating an injury to the back of the head or the back here, and you fall and you're simulating. Yes, it was in that area, but it wasn't a hard shot. You can get a warning for that, for simulating. You could lose a bout on TKO because you're not willing to continue. Attempting to strike opponent immediately after the referee has ordered break and before taking a step back. Assaulting or behaving in an aggressive manner towards a referee at any time. Okay, mouthpiece. This is the mouthpiece rule, and it's very important that coaches and especially boxers know this rule. But basically what it says, if the mouthpiece is knocked out as a result of a legal blow, that is a caution, okay? I get hit, mouthpiece comes out, that is a caution. Or the boxer carries the mouthpiece halfway out, that is a caution. When two cautions have already been issued, so I get hit, comes out, I get hit again, comes out, there went my two freebies. The next time is a warning for the mouthpiece. And that's a point. I did this. Or the boxer deliberately spits out the mouthpiece. The very first time he does that, warning. Now here's a change on cautions and warnings for you referees. One of the old rules we used to have was that if you gave a warning for an infraction, if that boxer committed that same infraction in the next round, because you gave a warning, you couldn't give a caution for the same infraction. Now you can. Okay? Let's say it was a head violation, then in the next round it's low, but it's a minor foul. It's not big. You can give a caution. Same thing with the mouthpiece. So let's say in the first round he deliberately spits out the mouthpiece, warning. Okay? Next round he gets hit, it comes out, caution. Okay? So that's a change. That's a little change on procedures for referees. Okay. Before I start on the low blow rule, let me just pick up on some of the things I didn't finish talking about. I mentioned there are minor, major, flagrant fouls. We talked about the minors, no harm, no foul, minor pushing, minor holding, low head but away from the opponent, a low blow but it's a grazing, it wasn't a hard shot. Then we talked about the majors. The most common majors are slapping, holding, low head that's in front of the opponent. Those are the majors. The flagrants, remember, are not accidental. And remember, even if it's an accidental foul, you still own the foul. A flagrant, though, was intentional. You had intent to harm your opponent. You had intent to gain an advantage. So flagrant would be, an example would be an intentional headbutt. I butt my opponent. That's intentional. The referee must always be in a very good position, and we'll talk about positioning later. But you must see the action of both boxers, especially if there's a flagrant foul. So intentional headbutt, an intentional low blow, which we'll talk about in just a second, slamming an opponent to the canvas. So sometimes you see two boxers holding, one of them kind of feels he's losing, or he gets overly frustrated, and he thinks he can slam his opponent to the canvas. He thinks that's okay. That is not okay. That is flagrant. That is a flagrant foul. We've had situations where boxers have fallen to the canvas, injured themselves, and can't continue. I forget what Olympic trials it was. Juan McPherson against Andre Berto. McPherson held Berto. Berto slammed him to the canvas. McPherson hit his head, injured himself. He couldn't continue. He was medically disqualified. Juan McPherson was one of the best boxers to come out of USA Boxing. Juan McPherson had just won the year before the World Junior Championships in Cuba, and he had beaten the Cuban in the finals. The Cuban people gave him a standing ovation because he had just dominated the Cuban boxer. He was a beautiful boxer, long reach. Anyway, he was medically disqualified, so now he's out of the Olympic trials. He's out of the Olympics, period. Berto gets disqualified. So now we have two top-notch boxers out of the Olympic trials. But it was all because of a flagrant foul where he threw his opponent down and he got disqualified. Berto later on went to box for the team of Haiti and competed in Athens. So slamming an opponent to the canvas, not permitted. Hitting an opponent while he's down. So sometimes you'll see a boxer go down, and maybe he's down on one knee, and the opponent has plenty of time to stop the punch. So what does he do? He still punches. He thinks it's cute. That is a flagrant foul. Where I'm going with this is that flagrant fouls do not merit a soft caution, a hard caution. It merits an automatic warning, or it could be a disqualification the very first time they do it. Okay? This is for a flagrant foul. That's why I'm trying to be very careful in distinguishing what is a major, what is a flagrant. Lacing an opponent. Lacing means this. Now, because boxers box without headgear, and now they're bumping heads, and now the skin becomes tender and reddish, you do this, and that's going to open that cut in that area. This is not accidental. This is intentional. This is intent to harm my opponent. Especially in major elite competitions with AIBA, with the World Championships and so on, I am very hard on the referees regarding lacing. And they think, well, it was accidental. It wasn't that bad. No, it was that bad. It was intentional. You need to give a warning for that. So lacing, it is a warning. Kicking an opponent, that's not accidental. That doesn't belong in our sport. Biting, that doesn't, yeah, maybe MMA. Biting, that doesn't belong in our sport. That's not accidental. Usage of elbows, that's not accidental. Using of shoulders, sometimes you see boxers that they get close in close quarters and one of them starts jumping and he hits the chin of the opponent. That's not accidental. You know what you're doing. So flagrant fouls, I would recommend to the referees, make sure you're in position. If you see that, and if in your opinion, you label that as a flagrant foul, feel free to give a warning the very first time. They'll stop what they're doing. If you allow it, what are you telling the boxer? You're telling him it's okay. So I wanted to make sure I covered that before I went to the low blow rule. The other thing that I wanted to make sure is I just covered the mouthpiece. One of the things that we're also trying to do worldwide is we're trying to standardize proper procedures. So the proper procedure to start a bout, proper procedure to give a caution, proper procedure to give a warning, proper procedure to give a disqualification, so on and so on and so on. One of the proper procedures for the mouthpiece is immediately when the mouthpiece comes out, time. The very first thing you do, time. Take the boxer to the corner, have the coach wash the mouthpiece, replace the mouthpiece, and then before you say box, you point at the boxer, you point at the mouthpiece, and you do this, bite down, and tell him, bite down, okay? That is the proper procedure for the mouthpiece coming out. The low blow rule is one of the most controversial fouls that we have in amateur boxing. Why do I say that? How many of y'all are referees? Okay. When was the last time you had a low blow situation in the ring when you refereed? When?
Next to the last show.
Next to the last show, so a month ago, 2 months? 2 weeks ago?
Last 6 months.
Last 6 months?
Every time.
God,
I'm a lucky guy.
I don't. You're a lucky guy. You're a lucky guy. Who else? Who else has done a low blow? Week ago? Well, this is a very uncommon audience. Normally, the audience will say, yeah, I've had a low blow situation 6 months ago. Somebody will say a year ago, 3 weeks ago. The point I'm trying to make is that the low blow foul doesn't happen every time you go into the ring. Slapping, yes. Holding, yes. Not stepping back on the command break, yes. Low head, yes. That's going to happen every single time you go into the ring. The low blow rule doesn't happen every time. So the point is that the low blow rule has a certain procedure, and because it doesn't happen every time, you may tend to forget the procedure. Okay? I'm going to go through it very slowly, but just understand that this is the procedure and you need to look at it. I've also developed a little diagram, and what I'm going to ask you to do is look at the diagram, take a mental picture, put it in here because you're going to need it. In that instant, when that low blow situation happens, all HELL is breaking loose. The boxer's complaining, I got hit low. The coach is complaining, it was low. Referee, are you blind? The other coach is saying that was a legal blow. Everybody is on your case. And again, how much time do you have to make a decision? So here's a procedure. After a low blow, if the offended boxer does not complain and the low blow was not hard or intentional, the referee makes a signal to signal the foul without interrupting the bout. I see the foul, I point at the boxer, you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Box. I'm not going to make a big deal of it, because the minute I make a big deal, that boxer's going to go down to the canvas, he's going to be doing this. Put your ears, your fingers in your ears. They're going to start complaining because they want you to give a warning to the opponent, right? The low blow rule, under the old days, you could win a bout on a disqualification. It's very easy compared to now. We've made it tougher for the Hollywood actors to win a bout with the low blow rule now, the way I'm going to explain it. Okay? So the second situation, after a low blow, if the offended boxer complains about the severity of the blow, the referee now has two options. The first option, if I saw the blow, and in my opinion, that was an intentional, flagrant low blow. I saw that blow, and it was coming from the floor. It was boom, and the boxer goes down. That is an immediate disqualification. That's the first point. The second point is I see a low blow. It was below the belt line. But sometimes, blows can come this way or they can come this way. These are the harder ones. These are the harder ones. Coming down, they're not as hard. And keep in mind, boxers are wearing the full cup. It's very hard to damage somebody with a full cup, okay? Yeah, it still hurts, but it's not as damaging as not wearing a cup. And just about every single boxer wears those big cups. And, here's an example of one. You're not going to get damaged to the point where you can't continue. And so we're going to talk about the recovery period. So the first option was you disqualify immediately because you saw an intentional, flagrant low blow. The second wasn't as hard, but you saw the blow. It was low. The boxer is complaining. You now start an 8 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you've got to take action. What do I do next? So one of two things is going to happen with the boxer. The boxer is going to say, I'm okay, but I got hit low. Well, the referee says, I know, I saw that. I was in position. But he's signaling to you that he can continue. Now the referee has an option. Is he going to give a warning or is he not? You are not required to give a warning. If in your opinion it is necessary, I will give the warning at this point. Remember, your hurt boxer is ready to continue. I can give a warning or I can say box. Okay? The second scenario is I gave the 8 count, the boxer's still on the canvas. He's rolling around, he's complaining of the low blow, he's not ready to continue after my count of 8. I now say time, I signal to the timekeeper to start the clock. And that's why we tell timekeepers, your job has changed. You now have different responsibilities. You must have 2 clocks, 2 watches, because one of the things I'm going to ask you to do is to time a situation like a low blow. So what I want you to do in that situation when it's a low blow and I signal to you and I say time, I want you to start the second clock because I need 90 seconds. So the timekeeper is going to signal to me, referee doesn't know how much time has elapsed, right? So the timekeeper, this is where his value comes in. He's going to let us know how much time has elapsed. So at 30 seconds, we're asking timekeepers to do this. At 60 seconds, at 90 seconds, now I know my 30 seconds intervals. The reason that's important is one of the other things that we don't want referees to do, the proper procedure in handling the low blow and asking the boxer if he's okay to continue, is you've got the boxer down right here, is to stand over him the whole time asking him, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? No, stand back. Give him room. When you hear the timekeeper give you the first 30 seconds, now come up. You okay? Can you continue? He tells me no. I back up. I wait for the timekeeper to give me the 60 seconds. I come back. Are you okay? You ready to continue? Most of the time, most boxers are going to tell you they're okay to continue within 60 seconds. You look at professional boxing, they get 5 minutes. But I've never seen a low blow in professional boxing go past a minute. Most of the time, within 20, 30 seconds, they say, okay, let's go. Okay? In this situation, you now have, okay, let's say that at 60 seconds, he says, okay, I'm ready to continue. You now have the option to either give a warning or not give a warning. Now, why won't I give a warning after I've given a count? Because maybe a simulation. My opinion, it wasn't necessary, and that's what the rule says, if the referee considers it necessary. So if I consider it necessary, I will now give the warning. If I don't consider it necessary, I will now say box. Now let's take it a step further. The timekeeper gives me the second 60-second count. I come up. Are you okay? Ready to continue? Nope. I go back. It's now on him to know 30 seconds because that's all he's got left. Because the minute the timekeeper does the third one, he just lost on a TKO. Okay? All those procedures, if you'll go to the next slide, all those procedures are not going to be easy to remember. I know that. But the more low blows, he will be able to perfect it because in his LBC they happen every week. But in other LBCs it doesn't happen very often. That's why I say take a mental picture of this, put it in here because you're going to need it in that moment. Okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to handle this situation?
I'm going to interrupt at this time in an effort to explain to you a new headbutting and illegal blows rule, which has been adopted September of this year. If a referee stops a bout following the advice of the ringside physician because a boxer has an injury and or a cut caused by a headbutt or illegal blow, the referee will disqualify the offending boxer. If a boxer receives a headbutt or illegal blow which do not cause an injury or a cut, the referee will give a warning to the offending boxer, deducting 1 point per judge. If a boxer receives a headbutt or illegal blow which causes injury or a cut, and the ringside physician allows the bout to continue, the referee will give a warning to the offending boxer, deducting 2 points per judge. And now I'd like to give this back to Ray Silvis, who will speak to you about the bleeding rules.
Bleeding rule. This rule came about many years ago when the whole HIV AIDS scare started coming in. We recognized that our sport, we have blood. Our boxers get bloodied up and referees get blood on their hands too, and so on. So this came out from our medical committee, and basically we just didn't want to take a chance. We're trying to play it on the safe side. But basically the rule says if the boxers are bleeding, or where one boxer is bleeding and his opponent has an open cut or abrasion, the referee may stop the bout and take the boxer to see the doctor to receive an examination. If the bout is stopped, the boxer ahead on points will be the winner. I was just looking at the professional boxing website, and in there they were talking about statistics on, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't that. I was looking at that for some rules, but no, it's in the Ring Magazine issue, this latest issue. They talk about blood in boxing, and they were talking about professional athletes. There has never been a case that has been known where a boxer has gotten HIV because of blood in a sporting event. This is in professional sports. They didn't say anything about amateur, but in professional sports, any sport, football, wrestling, boxing, all of those sports, there was no cases of HIV. So I don't know about amateur boxing, but still, we've got this rule. We've got to adhere to it. It's a safety. Again, if you're going to err on the side of safety. So that's the bleeding rule. Disqualification. 3 warnings and a bout. The bout is over. Disqualification. I mentioned the proper procedure in a disqualification. Send both boxers to the neutral corner, and then go tell the supervisor, and then send them to their regular corner. Flagrant foul, you can either get a warning or disqualification. Low blow, as we mentioned, can get a warning or disqualification. Let me go back one step on bleeding, because I want to make sure I don't miss this point. The proper procedure, if you have bleeding in the ring, I think I mentioned before that if it's a nosebleed, it's okay for you to clean the bleeding. If it's really coming down in gushers, take them to the doctor. But you should always have a gauze pad in your pocket. You should try to wear gloves too, okay? I just recommend that. Maybe not, if you don't think it's safety for you, think of it as a safety for the other boxers, because if you handle blood and now you're touching another boxer's nose or whatever, you're mingling the blood, so you don't want to be accused of that, or that there be a scare by the coaches or the boxers on that. So I would recommend wear gloves. But let's say you have a nosebleed. And by the way, never take the boxer to his corner for his corner to clean the blood. You as a referee clean him, or the doctor cleans him. But let's say it's a small bleed. You clean him. Where should you do the cleaning? Let's say you're in the center of the ring. Okay, 2 boxers. I've got my 2 boxers in the center of the ring. One of them is bleeding. So I notice he's bleeding. I say, stop. I look at him. So I say, okay, I've got to clean this blood. So I'm going to leave him there, and I'm going to walk with him to the neutral corner, which is back over here. So I'm going to grab him, and at the same time taking my gauze pad out, I'm going to take him to the neutral corner, and right here I'm going to clean him. I'm going to throw my gauze pad in the neutral sanitary bag. Which corner am I going to take him to? What neutral corner am I going to take him to? Closest to the doctor. Why? Because if I take him to the opposite corner, and let's say I clean him, and now I see a cut, what do I have to do now? I got to go clear across the ring to where the doctor is, whereas if I'm there, I can take care of everything at the same time. I can just call the doctor up. Okay? So again, thank you. So again, there's a proper procedure in disposing bloody gauze pads and also cleaning the blood.
Did you call time in there?
Yes, always call time in that situation. And remember the difference between, I don't know if it's coming up, but I'm sure it is, stop, box, and break. The difference between stop and time is anytime something is going to take longer than 10 seconds, this is the correct sign, time. Okay?